had some dreams for Washington, D.C. I'm a strategist by nature, and I've laid out plans for a 5-year plan. We'll have 1,000 kids in club, starting from scratch.
And let the sun shine again. This is the most magnificent.
I brought Sandy Vitullo with me from Washington, D.C. And it was about 3 years later, and she said, "Look, Bud, last week we had 1,000 kids in club." And I thought, Lord, aren't you funny? That was 5 years to the year from what I had dreamed for in D.C., but it just happened in San Jose. I was praying one night because they needed an answer. Bill Starr, president of Young Life, wanted an answer in 2 weeks. We had to have someone, a good experienced staff person, available to come. And that turned out to be Skip, Paul Skipper. I had to know it in my insides. I was praying one night at midnight on my knees on the sofa. Lord, do you want us to go or stay? How will I know? The circumstances changed in a very obvious way later that summer. And I told Bob Mitchell, who was the regional director, I'm not going to go to Detroit. That deep sense, I'm not going home. This is home. These are my people. 100% the opposite of what I wanted.
Temptation, suffered and sacrifice, but I awake each day with a new sunrise.
My name is Bob Lonick. I was in Young Life in San Jose for really 12 years. I came in 1975 as the area director. Bob Reberts came and said, I think I want you to move to San Jose. I was the area director there from 75 to 79. And then I became the regional director from 79 to 83, and then from 83 to 87 I was the divisional director. And so I had 3 different jobs, but I stayed in San Jose. I got too many great memories. The first thing that popped in my mind was playing Pac-Man with John Tuttle, Steve, Kevin Wood, Bob Scudder, Nick Palermo. I remember turning Nick Palermo down as he applied for the Young Life staff 3 different times, which will show you my fantastic judgment in people's leadership ability. Finally, he bugged me into coming on the staff. We put him at Blackford High School. A couple of years later, he came to me and said, gee, I got one kid, but he's in a wheelchair. Should we let this kid come to Young Life? I said, yeah, figure it out, Nick. You could probably do that. That, of course, blossomed into what is now the Capernaum Project, and is kind of making a worldwide impact on all of Young Life's work with disabled kids. So, way to go, Nick Palermo. Way to beat down my door. The committee that supported me during this time were an absolute brilliant, fabulous bunch of people. Walt McPherson, John Simon, Bob Bebb, Bob Slater, the list goes on. In the background were these people on the committee which stood behind me. We met every week at the Lincoln office. Believe it or not, it was still there back then. And we prayed for an hour, read the Bible, and walked down to John's Excellent Food and had a great breakfast. God bless me. I learned so much in all that time. I am so thrilled that we're still doing work in ministry there. Thanks for letting me share this.
Sent down here to San Jose right after we got here in 1956. Jim Rayburn, who started Young Life and was the president at the time, sent me out here. And his last words to us, get out there and get something going. It wasn't, hey, God bless you. That was just the way he was. So we drove out here, never been here before. I remember driving one night across the Bay Bridge, and I'm hearing Rayburn's words, and I panicked. I just started to cry, and that's when I prayed that prayer, give me a friend. And the next week, I met a man named Ted Johnson. Ted and I became very good friends, and from then on, we did everything together. Young Life had started. It hadn't really taken off yet, but it had started. And it started at Berkeley High School, a fellow named Roy Revere. That's how it started there in 1950. I took it at 56.
Jim Shelton.
Jim was coming out of Westmont College. We had gotten to know each other already at Frontier Ranch. We became very good friends. And I had become the regional director out here, and we wanted to expand to San Jose, this area down here. And asked Jim if he'd do it.
So I was a high school teacher, high school history teacher in Minnesota. Heard Bill Starr speak. I said, you know what? I won't always be young. I can join the Young Life staff and I can always teach. So I joined the Young Life staff. The summer before that, I had gone 5 weeks at Star Ranch. Came to San Jose. Bob Lonack, Patty Close. There were about 5 of us that joined the staff at that point in time. So I drove to San Jose in my Mustang convertible. I did not know one living soul in San Jose. That's called the Great Leap of Faith. So I lived with the Simons, John and Dorothy, in their little room off of the garage. It was a great experience starting off being on the Young Life staff. I came in 1967 and was on staff from 1967 until 1972. I was on the staff when we bought Woodleaf.
And I'm gonna celebrate being alive.
So Skip and I and Wally started that Young Life Club. In the first year, we had all the Christian kids involved, and it didn't go well. We could not get it off the ground. So we asked all the Christian kids to take the next year and stay home and pray. We then reached out to the cheerleaders and the leaders of Willow Glen. And then we got club going, and we had like 30, 40 kids, and then we invited the Christian kids to come back. And how was God faithful? Well, from the beginning to the end. At one point, we had 14 clubs. We had 60 leaders. I think Cliff Davidson in our area needs to be commended for having seen the vision that girls could do, women could do leadership in the same way that men could. And I think that the energy of Young Life, I always said it was the best job on earth because you could have fun, you could do outrageous things, you could travel, you could be stretched, you could be pushed relationally, and you were in charge of your own life. Remember that our job is to represent Jesus and to live our lives pointing to Him, not to ourselves.
I'm gonna celebrate being alive.
Hi folks, this is Scott coming to you from Young Life's Woodleaf. Here to share with you a few thoughts and reflections on our time in San Jose as the area director. And I'll back up just a little bit there and kind of how I got onto the Young Life staff. I was a volunteer leader living in Palo Alto, California, and moved out here from Texas and was a volunteer leader at Sequoia High School and Redwood City. Decided that Young Life staff might be something I would like to pursue, and so began investigating that, and actually had made arrangements and everything was in place for Missy and I to move to Hayward, California, and go into the training program there and train under Hugh Carter, who was the area director at that time. And then that all kind of fell apart late in the spring, early summer of 1976 when we were scheduled to come on the staff that fall. And when that all happened, began looking around and investigating other possibilities in the Bay region because we wanted to stay there, we wanted to be there. It was a good training program, and eventually what turned up was a possibility of a staff position in East San Jose. Bob Lonack, who was the area director in San Jose at that time, was looking to find a staff person to come on the staff and train and begin to grow and develop the ministry in East San Jose. So he and Tom Rayleigh, who was the regional director at that point, as well as the Western Divisional Director, we met A&W Root Beer over on Monterey Highway, and talked about the staff and decided that that was something that I would like to do and would want to do, and they offered me the opportunity. And so Missy and I got married in June of 1976 and moved to San Jose in September of that year to come on the staff and began to lead Young Life in East San Jose. And so we stayed there for 3 years, and at the end of that time, Bob Lonek was moved from the area director job to the regional director job in the Bay region, and then he asked me to move over to take over San Jose proper and on the west side of town and help lead that. And so that was in the fall of 1979. So Missy and I began doing that ministry at that point, and we actually stayed as the area director for about 8 or 9 years till around that time, and then we moved into the associate regional job in the Bay region and stayed there for another time frame. And all told, it was about 23 years that we stayed on staff in the field staff in the Bay area. It was exciting times. I remember coming in and looking at the San Jose committee. It was a group of around 25 or 30 people that were what I consider to be kind of spiritual giants, and I just felt like there's no way in the world I would be able to lead this group of people. But one of the greatest things that took place during that time was a Wednesday morning Bible study, and it was real simple. It really wasn't a study. It was about half a dozen of the committee men coming together, people like Bob Bebb and John Simon and Walt McPherson, George Ferguson, who was the father of Young Life in San Jose. And I had the privilege of sitting every Wednesday morning reading the scriptures, talking a little bit about it. We grew that group over the years. Some younger guys come in, people like Scott Payne, Corb Illam, Dave Davis, Keith Lundquist, Craig Yoder, Jerry Wrighton, Dave Oken, different people like that came in to that group over the years, and it was a tradition we kept up all the time I was in San Jose. You know, I got to work with some great folks like Linda McMillan was on staff when I first came, and people like Joe Walters and June Lloyd was there, who is now June Walters. And those early days we had some student staff, and Randy Seaver and Karen Murray and Jeannie Galt and Brian Shelby, even Dave Beckwith was there. Those were kind of the early years, and then I had the privilege of doing some training and with people like Nick Palermo and Kevin Wood, Mike St. Clair, Robin Singley. So I think I want to just close out by saying I am very grateful for the years that we had in San Jose. They were instrumental in mine and Missy's life, as well as our family. Although we live and work at Woodleaf in this part of our life, we consider the network of friendships and relationships in San Jose as key to our life. From the bottom of mine and Missy's heart, we say thank you for giving us the privilege of serving the years we did in San Jose and allowing it to bless our lives and make us more of who we are today. May the ministry of San Jose Young Life continue on